Welcome everyone, Brian at Fort Hays State University, and today I'm excited to introduce to you the Google Workspace. Now, everyone already knows something about Google. Maybe you have a Gmail account, maybe you've heard of Google Meet for video conferencing, maybe you've used a Google Doc. But there's so much more that can be offered, and I see all the time folks using many different platforms, and then they have to work through and try to make them speak to each other or work inside or outside of the application. And the problem is it takes a lot of time and it costs potentially money for your business or the difference between getting your grade in or not. So whether you're a student, whether you're a medical professional, whether you're just using it for recreation, Google Workspace can work for you as an all-in-one solution. So let's talk more about that. Now, coworkers, customers, family and friends, these are all people that we have to work with daily. And if we can use one platform to do it all, I'm going to recommend just Google Workspace. Now, you might have heard of Microsoft's product line, Office 365. They have the Microsoft Teams. They got Microsoft video conferencing software built into it. But the problem is everyone has to have an Office 365. And that could be very costly, and it might even create a barrier between you and your clients. So when you look over into what you can do with Google Workspace at the low cost, you'll be more effective with your customers, your instructors, your students, your clients, whoever that may be. So, are there cases where you need to present your information to others? Google Workspace has Google Slides. Sharing a document could be as simple as providing it an embedded link in your Google Gmail account. And from there, as people make different, or as you or your counterparts make changes, it's reflective live. So you don't have to re-upload the document, and you have one working version that everyone's in at the same time. And then let's say you need to chat about some upcoming task that you need to do. You can use Google Chat to do just that instead of text messaging. And let's say you need to schedule a meeting. Most people are using Zoom right now or Microsoft Teams, but if you use Google Calendar, you can embed the meeting of Google Meet right there. Thus, it's an all-in-one platform. So today what we're going to learn is how to use Google Workspace in the most basic settings. That's our Google Gmail. That's our Google Calendar. And then the next 2 days after that, we're going to be looking at some more in-depth tutorials. Now, everyone is a resource here, so we're going to have some great exercises where we're working together all remotely, whether it's live or online remotely at your own pace. There's a lesson plan for everyone. So we just talked about who will benefit from the Google Workspace. And business owners, counselors, medical staff, family and friends, there's really no one who wouldn't benefit from it. Granted, of course, they have a smart device like a smartphone, tablet, or a PC, or Android, iOS, Mac, whatever it is. So let's get further into this. Gmail is what most of you have probably already heard of. It's that @Gmail. And so we're going to create a free account today using Gmail. And if you already have one, you could just follow along and see if there's any things you can add to your Gmail to enhance it, like a signature or how to use a carbon copy, CC, if we know it. And then how can we use Google Calendar and put in a meeting and embed it into a Gmail? So let's get started with day one. And then the following 2 days, we're going to be focusing on how to do some more in-depth tasks like our Google Drive. And a Google Drive is just like your data bank. It's where you store all your files, like your PDFs, your slideshows, your Excel spreadsheets, or your Google Slides, Google Sheets. So all of that stuff. And Meet is going to be the video conferencing software where you can video conference your colleagues, whether or not they have Gmail or Google Workspace. And then outside of the meeting, perhaps you need to communicate with your colleagues. So you can use Google Chat. Now this will require them to have a Gmail account to be able to set it up. But don't worry, it's free. And then the last day, we'll be talking about how to create a Google Doc. So you're probably asking yourself, what if I already have Office 365 and I want to send all my documents through to the Google Drive or upload it into Google Docs to start making changes to it? It's as simple as importing your documents, your files into the Google Drive system where they can be converted into the Google Workspace, including PowerPoint presentations where they'll be converted into Google Slides. And lastly, Excel, no problem. You use Google Sheets. All are importable, making it your life a very easy, seamless transition. So let's get started. In today's course, we're going to be talking about how to create an email using Gmail. So we're going to be talking, how do I create my Gmail? How do I import my contacts? And how do I attach a file or a meeting notification on a Google Calendar? And then we'll wrap it up with some practice. It should take approximately maybe 1 to 2 hours, depending if you're learning at your own pace and you need to pause the video or you can follow along the whole way through. So let's get beginning. Now, Gmail is a very sophisticated platform for email. It allows you to do so much more than what I'm used to with Microsoft Outlook. And because it's this one-stop and shop platform, you're going to see things that you wouldn't normally see in any other competitor's email system. So when you look at it, the basics is to create some sort of email or an event that you can partition to your participants or to your clients or to your family, friends, whoever that may be. And in the whole scheme of things, once you've created your email, you can add things to it, such as a meeting where it gets added to their calendar. So you can use collaboration software beyond just the email format. And then once you've done something like a meeting, chances are, if it's for a business, you're going to want to produce some sort of document to show what you're working on. And that's when you jump into the produce. The produce, unlike what's at the grocery store, is what you're talking about with Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. So whether it be a PowerPoint presentation for an upcoming seminar, or it's going to be a profit and loss, you can use a Google worksheet, or you could use a Google Doc to convey all that information you would need at your next business meeting or something for post or after a meeting. And then finally, how do you share all of it? So once you created it, that's when you're going to go and share it on a Google Chat, or you can go back to Gmail, or just store it in a drive and share it later. Now, all of this I mentioned is free, so there's no reason to not get started right away. Let's talk about the big picture. By participating in this learning program, you're going to be able to leverage the technology and inform yourself along the way on how to go about finding information. I'm not going to be able to provide all of it at once for you, and there'll be questions along the way. But the great thing is you can use some of the resources you're learning in this course to collaborate, such as a Google Chat. And you can look at the Google forums where people have asked the same question as you. And once you've learned where to find all that information, you can start creating artifacts and sharing them, and even perhaps even some tutorials for your fellow colleagues or friends. And that leads us to collaboration. When you collaborate with others, you're fulfilling part of the International Society of Technology for Education's standards, which basically mean you're becoming a digital citizen, well-balanced, well-versed, and you're responsible in all of your actions. And that's our goal in this course, is to create equitable access for all persons on the internet. So whether it's you, your family, your friends, you're going to inquire circumstances where you need a platform that can work for visually impaired, hard of hearing, deaf. There might be a whole thing that we don't understand on the other end, and you could create artifacts that will enable us to interact with each other. So let's think of that throughout this course. Our learning assessment by the end of today is going to be looking at what we do in terms of how do we create an email, how do we look at social media in our email, that would be Google Chat, And how do we publish our documents inside the chat or inside the email? And how do we set up a conference meeting using Google Meet? And chatting, and lastly, storage, so that you'll ask your friends which ones they use by the completion of day one, and then determine what platforms are most popular and how they might benefit from them. And then you'll come back in day two, and we'll talk about what they use and how we can help them. Let's begin. First step is to go through and create a Gmail account. So right now, we're going to go through how to create a Gmail account, migrate our information, and some tips or a quick reference sheet for you, and then some email best practices. So, and then we'll of course wrap it up with calendar and then practice. So when you create a Gmail, you're simply going to go to gmail.com, and you can see it right here. How to create a Gmail account. I just type it in the search bar here. And what the great thing is there's already resources that are available for you. To begin, you have to determine, is it for yourself or for your business? Now, if it's for business, I'll pause right here to tell you, if you are a medical professional, such as you're a dentist or you're a doctor, and you need a HIPAA compliance requirement, then Google Workspace is not going to be free for you. It's going to cost approximately $12 to $18 per user per month. What do you get for that? Essentially, you get the protection of end-to-end encryption, which protects your data from intrusion as well as from breaches that could cause you to be sued or go through any liability. Now, we know this is HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Privacy Act. This essentially protects your information and allows you to comply with federal guidelines. Now, in furthering that, I would recommend you reach to me outside of this tutorial, and I can go through on how to set that up. Essentially, it's called a business associate agreement, and that's a discussion that we would have after this module. If you're also in the education sector, you want to ensure that you are adhering to the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, known as FERPA. Now, this act essentially means you're not going to disclose any personal identifiable information about your students. And in this case, you would pay for the Google account that's going to cost $12 to $18. But if you're in a public education setting, chances are you could work with your technology expert or advisor for information on how to get that started. But if this is just something for a business where you're not worried about end-to-end encryption, or you're worried about following any privacy standards, then you would say, maybe I can settle for a free Google Workspace account. The biggest difference is the end-to-end encryption. Now, let's begin and start with just for myself. So when you decide you want to create your own account, you're going to be prompted for your name. So you're going to create a name, Brian. My last name is Finnessy. And then you're going to ask for a username. From here, you can give yourself a unique identification that would recognize perhaps by your name or by a nickname or something like a business. So let's say I'm creating my own business. I'm not worried about a free the paid version of Google Workspace, but just something that I can start my business, such as photography. So photography expert at gmail.com. And then you're going to create a password. So I'll create a password here. You want to use a combination of passwords, symbols and letters or numbers. Now in this case, I just did something like this, ASDF1, exclamation point. I confirm it and I click next. Oh, looks like I can't do next. That username has been taken by another. This is going to be often happening. You're going to try to create one and someone's already taken it. So you may have to create maybe an abbreviation, maybe add some numbers to it, maybe your zip code. So I'm in 95667. So photography expert 95667 at Gmail. Click next. All right. Now the passwords didn't match, so I need to retype that. ASDF1 exclamation point. Excellent. So I was able to get that set up. Now they're asking for a phone number. So you're probably wondering, what are they going to do with my phone number? Google wants a way to verify your account so that in the event you lose your password, you could protect yourself by simply sending a message to your text via text to your phone, where they can reset your password so you can access your account when you lose your password or forget it. So my phone number, I go 1-916-715-7731 and next. Send me a virtual code here. So I'll go into my phone right here, and in my phone, I can check, okay, I just got a text message from Google. Now, what's it say? Oh, my code is 765603. Verify. And from here, I'm prompted to say, well, in the event your phone gets lost and you want an additional protection to recover your email information, what's another email you have? Well, I got this bfinney1 at Gmail. And what's my date of birth here? April 12th, 1983. Gender? Yeah, I'd rather not say. Now, they're going to give you some information about why do we ask this for information. So this might be for help to reset your information in the event you lose it. They can ask you to confirm your date of birth. Get more from your number. Accounts across Google services. Let's say you want to receive video calls and messages through Google. Like we said, it's an all-in-one platform. So you can use Google more beyond than just an email. You can use it to make and receive video calls and use the Google Messages app on Android or iOS. So if you click here to more options, you can choose whether or not you want to add your number for account security only or for video calls and also relevant ads. Now, most people are a little keen to not want advertising, so maybe we'll use it for phone account security only. And we'll click done. And they give you a terms of service and a privacy policy. So I can open those and review those. And that will address any information about how they store your information, what your rights are to use the service, and what your responsibilities and your conduct on their platform. And once you've read through the services and agreements, you can continue on down at the bottom here. You can read through. If you want them to save your web and app activity in a Google account so you can know where you've been searching, where you left off on your browser history. Ad personalization, they use cookies to store ads so you can have a personalized experience, and YouTube history if you watch YouTube videos and you want to have your history built in there so you don't have to research for a video. And you can also have them send occasional reminders about these settings, so if you need to go back and change them, you can do so. So I'll click I agree. Show me personalized ads. Save my web information so I don't have to re-find in the Google search browser information I've searched up before. So once I've agreed, it asks me here if I want to open up my new Chrome profile. So you can use Google Chrome, which is their browser, and their search engine is going to be google.com. So Google is pretty much everything you need on the internet. So I can click and say, okay, I'll use it. This will be my new platform here. Now, if you choose not to, you can use the existing browser that you already use, such as Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Safari, whatever it might be. And then once you're going in and you're using it, you can begin building your custom layout for you. So I've created my new little custom layout here, and I can add a little picture right up here. It gives me a little more information about when people see my email, who I am. I can go from my computer, and I could just drag and put a picture on there. And so I'm uploading my photo right now, and I could choose, perfect, that's me, save as my profile picture. So now people will recognize me when I send them an email if they have a Google account. And you'll also see it in the top right hand corner here. Let me make that a little bit more visible for you. So you see me right up here. Now let's begin customizing our experience. we've already put in our personal information. We already know about our data and privacy, which we'll get suggestions on. The security portion, we already created our backup email and our backup recovery phone number, and people and sharing. Now we can import our contacts. Have we imported our contacts so that we don't have to bring in new contacts and type them all over? So we click here. Now, import contacts right here. Now you can select a file. If you notice here, it takes a CSV, which stands for a comma separated value, or vcard. And to learn more, you click here and it'll tell you about how to do that. So essentially, let's say you have Microsoft Outlook. In Microsoft Outlook, you could go in and export. So you go to File, Export, and then from there, you could export your count or your contacts as a comma separated value. And then you select the file once you've created that, and you'd import it. And once we do that, we'll take a look at what it looks like. Now, one of the most important things is how do you find information when we're outside this tutorial? So I always recommend going into your browser and you could type in whatever you need to know and find relevant tutorials or support for guidance. So for example, we talked about exporting our our Microsoft Outlook contacts. And if we didn't know how to do that, we can simply type in how to export Microsoft contacts, Microsoft Outlook contacts. And from here, we'll get a nice support tutorial. And they even give us a video. So we would select File, and then from File, we would go to Open and Export, and then click Imports, Exports, and Export to File. Click Next, select comma separated value. Remember we talked this is a CSV file. And then under the email account you want to export the contacts from, select Contacts. And then browse and go to where you want to save your CSV file on your computer system. And just keep a note of where you save that file and the name of it. You type in the name and select OK, and then that's finished. And then from there, that's the file you're going to import when you go into Gmail. So you go from File, and then you go to Google Contacts, so you can go right to here. And then you're going to go into Import, and then select File, and find that file on your system. Once that's done, it's going to be a CSV file, and you're just going to navigate into your system where that is. And then you click the import button, and then you're done. And from there, you'll have all your contacts. Very simple to do, and I'm going to give it a try right now. So if I go into, let me change my screen here. File, Open and Export. I click the Import and Export, and then right here, it's going to say, now choose to export a file. I want to select Export to a File. Choose comma separated value. And then this step is key, especially if you're browsing a friend's computer. In the select folder to export from box, scroll to keep the top if needed and select the contacts. So if you notice right here, here's the contacts, and select that folder right here. Scroll to the top if needed and select contacts folder that's under your account. So if you're on multiple computers, such as your friends, you're going to want to look for yours, and you may be on their computer and they may have theirs. So just keep in mind that if you're borrowing a friend's computer, you may be copying their contacts if you don't select the right folder. And then from there, click Next, browse, give it a new name, save as CSV file, click Next, and you're finished. And once it's finished, you'll see that this window progress bar will have gone through all the way, and you'll have it in a nice comma separated value file. And you can export this as we are right here into Google. And how we got there is you just typed in there. Contacts. All right. So now we've imported our contacts. We can also export them if you wanted to leave by going to a comma separated value. And if it's an Outlook, you could just select Outlook. If it's a V card for iOS, you would select that and you could export it. Okay, and then it downloads at the bottom right hand corner here, and that would be in your file, your downloads file folder. So now let's log back into our Gmail account, and let's begin now that we have all our contacts in here. Do I want to turn on chat mode and meet for more ways to connect and learn with my friends? And click more. We'll just click OK. And as it stands right now, I have one email. So on the left hand side here, I click it and I'm presented with 3 bars at the top. Primary email is going to be used when you're receiving an email, whether it be from your friends or your colleagues, something that's a primary email that is specific to you. But you know how it is when we shop, we're always adding ourselves to those promotion giveaways, those sign up for newsletter. Great thing is Google can determine whether or not those newsletters should be in your primary. And if it shouldn't be, which generally they just go ahead and put it in promotions, so you don't have to go through and figure out where it is. Now, if you don't like this setting, you could always change it to where it all goes into one folder. But I found this is very relevant to have, so I would leave it if I were you. And then I've signed up to a lot of social websites, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It can filter out all those, and it'll go into a social folder when you get notifications there. So in other words, you click on primary, and you're going to see what's most relevant. When you have time, you can go into the social and promotions, but primary is where you're going to be working out of most of the day. So if you see here, I have my first email. Now, since this is my first time, they're going to give me a lot of pop-up notifications on how to learn more about using the system, such as part of this email are dynamic and collect and show up-to-date information. What does that mean? It means that as the information is changing in real time on Google servers, they can update it in your document here, your email. Makes it very convenient for them to give you relevant information so you're not using outdated materials. It was sent in 1:57, 11 minutes ago, and if I wanted to star this, it simply means when I go back into my accounts, you see a nice pretty star right here. I can unstar it right there too. And if I wanted to respond, I just click that little bar that's back there. So if I click inbox again, that'll always get back to where I need to be. I can click right here, and you see this little arrow here. If you hover over it, you could see before you click it, it says reply. So you can reply there. Let's say I wanted to forward it to someone. You can go reply by clicking the 3 little bars here. Forward. You could even filter messages like these to go into a new folder on the left-hand side here, which for this case, we could also print it, delete the message, block the person if it's someone like report spam, block the person because you don't want to hear from them, report phishing, they're asking for credit card information that you think is illegal or a scam. And you could always show the original message information about who, when, what, where it was sent. You can copy from the clipboard. And I go back to the tab here because it opened up a new tab. So right here, and we were right back in here. Remember, your key is to always go to inbox, and you can go right back to where you left off. Click the 3 bars, and you could download the message or mark as unread. So marking it as unread means it's going to be bold font now. If I click it and click back, it's no longer bold font. It's not new. So there, if I wanted to delete it, I click the check bar icon, and I can either archive it, report spam, delete it, mark as unread, snooze on this for later on, add to tasks, such as if I click here, I could say, finish setting up your account, and then this will be in my taskbar for my to-do using a different built-in app in this. And you could also go into label and give it a nice label like Google email notifications. And from here, I can create that, click create. Now I have my first label here. And from here, I could even move it into there. So let's say I wanted to move this into there. I can click on it, move to Gmail email notifications, where now it's right here. Go back to my inbox. Now my primary tab is empty. All right. So we talked about how to compose an email. Let's talk about how to insert our signature. So if you click up the gear icon up here, go to See All Settings, and you're going to be presented and probably overwhelmed with so many settings such as labels, inbox, accounts and import. There you could change your password. You could import mail and contacts from your Yahoo, AOL, Hotmail, and then you click there. So if we click there, it's going to ask us in a new message where you want to import it, and it'll ask you for your email, password, and you would provide that. And so you can go one by one here and play with these settings as needed. You can filter and block messages from certain people or certain subject types. You could forward your messages to other emails like AOL Mail or Hotmail or Yahoo. And that's known as the POP and IMAP system. So basically, if you Google how to forward Gmail to POP IMAP, you'll find how to do that, or you can look for it right in Google Support Help. And where is that help? It's that little bar right here, where you can click here, and you could be presented as how to export or forward Gmail messages to another account. And so you can scroll down here and find more. And so remember this search bar or this support here. And then add-ons. You can add on different developer apps and scripts. Probably not anything we're going to be doing anytime soon. Chat and Meet. So I can have Google Chat on and show Meet section in the main menu. So what does this do for me? Well, we're going to be learning later, but we'll click Save Changes so I can show you what it looks like now. See on the bar right here is I said it was an all-in-one platform, so now I can jump from my email to my chat to my Google Spaces, which would be like a chat, but it's a group chat, and then Google Meet for video conferencing. And here I'm prompted, I can pause my mobile notifications while using this device to pause mobile notifications. So you've given the phone number. If you've downloaded the Google app on your phone, you can get mobile notifications when a new email arrives. Just go into your Android Play Store or your iOS App Store and download Gmail. And you could go and download additional apps that Gmail or Google Workspace has, like Slides, Sheets, Docs, Drive, and so on. So I'll click No Thanks because I want to receive the notifications here. And we're going to go back and try to add our signature here. See All Settings. And you can get overwhelmed with all this, but just remember this. It doesn't take that much if you go piece by piece at a time, and you won't get overwhelmed with what you're seeing here. So I scroll down here, and I could see in the General tab here, I want to scroll down until I find something. You could do spelling suggestions, defaults on, grammar suggestions on, display external images that come into your email when someone sends a picture. Smart compose personalizations on, that's giving you some preferred wording when you're submitting your emails. You'll see it in a little grayed out text to your right when you're typing. And smart reply on, if you wanted to have replies available, you could set that up later. But what we're looking for is a signature. And if we scroll down here, I got signature, no signatures are created. Let's create a new signature. Let's give our signature a name. Well, Brian Fennessy. And this will be my photography signature. Create. And from here, I go on the right bar here and put Brian Fennessy, capturing all of your photograph, all your favorite moments in life. And from here, it'll always be presented whenever I send an email. I don't have to retype all this. BrianFennessy.com. And you could even put a hyperlink there. BrianFennessy.com. And I'll just paste this. And from here, I can just delete this part here because I won't need it if I can use a hyperlink, right? And here, I could even do that with the phone number too, where it'll automatically call. If it's an email, oh, not a phone number here. Your phone will be able to differentiate that though. And you could add an image here. So I could put another picture of myself, upload, file, that nice picture of myself right here. And we'll go and see if we can find it now. Oh, that's a big picture. Let's go small. There we go. And let's see if we can clean this up a little bit. All right. So there's my message right there. Now I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to remove this and go up and attach the image again. So that way my name's below it. All right. So now that I'm all done, you can't stop here. You can also do a vacation responder when you're gone. Hey, I'll be back the last day on December 12th. I'm gone for 1 week, and save changes. But we're not going to do that, but we did create the signature. If we don't click save settings or save changes, it won't be there. So click this button. And you have enabled a vacation responder, but have not provided a response yet. Oops, let me turn that off. All right. Save changes. Now it's done. Now the great thing is when I say compose, I can easily click down here and there it is, my email messages. So if I try that again, click here and I choose my signature, it's right there. Now, if you don't want to go through all that headache of selecting your signature each time, just go back into settings here. See all settings. Go down to signature. And right in here, insert signature. So you say down here, insert signature before quoted text and replies, and the line precedes it. For new emails, you could select that if you want where it gets presented, and the replies, it'll be presented with a little line below it so people could differentiate the message between the signature. But right here, signature defaults, Brian Finnessy, we're using that signature. Now, that's for new emails only. And on replies, perhaps you want to always put that on the replies as well. But if you don't, whenever you reply to someone, it won't be there so they don't get bombarded with a bunch of signatures and loading these pictures. So I'll put yes for my sake. I would like their information to be there for them. Click Save Changes. Now if they go Inbox or I click Compose, it's already there. And you notice the line that precedes it's right there. If I don't want that little line there, we talked about, you go to See All Settings here. Scroll down and then insert signature for quoted text. So what does that do? Let's try it. Click Save Settings. Now compose. Look, that line's gone now. And then from here, you can go in, and we talked about what's a carbon copy. We haven't talked about that yet. So carbon copy, think about if you're a little older like I am, used to sign something on a piece of paper where you didn't want to make 3 versions of it, so you had a carbon version of that paper right below the one you're writing on. Call that a carbon copy. Now, it's figurative to when they call a carbon copy here that you're doing the same thing. So I can CC or carbon copy someone else that will receive this message, such as maybe it's my home email, not my business email, at gmail.com. Oh, and it's already finding me for my contacts. And then 2, oh, for the sake of this, I'll send it to my work or my school email. Oh, it's finding me already. And let's say I want to blind carbon someone. That just means that these 2 people up here will not know that I've sent this to them as well. And then I'll create my subject. Please call me for any services for your wedding. And then it was a pleasure to meet you at our show. And then from here, I'm presented where I can change my format. I can bold this. And then also, I can even make bullet points, change the font size to large. And I could highlight that, go large. And then let's say I want to indent it. I can indent wherever I'm at. As well as click here and you can make quotes, strike throughs, or remove formatting. So I'll remove this formatting. It's back to normal. And let's say I want to add an attachment. You click add attachment and I could send them maybe a picture of my work I've been doing. Check out my work below. Check out this work I did for another client last week. And I attached it right here. And I can insert a link if I need to. I could put in a little emoji there with a smiley face. And I could also insert a file using Google Drive and insert drive link. And then it's all done right inside here, so I don't have to use my computer because it's on the Google Drive. And we'll be working on how to use Google Drive tomorrow. And then you can insert a photo. We already did that with Google Drive. And you can also toggle confidential mode, which means recipients won't have the option to forward, copy, print, or download. And it expires after 1 week without a passcode. So they can use a passcode that'll allow them to protect your data, such as maybe it's time sensitive and it needs to be responded to, or you don't want them to copy or print this email because it's confidential information. Those are all ways to protect and you could say encrypting the access to it, restricting access, I should say. And it could expire in 5 years, expire in 1 day on the confidential mode. So we'll do no SMS passcode, and we'll do SMS passcode. We'll just say we'll try it here and we'll expire it in 1 day. If you want to learn more, you click to learn more and click save. And then from here, recipients won't have the option to forward, copy, print, or download this email. And the content expires just tomorrow. So it keeps them from being able to access it anymore if it's pertinent to sensitive information. And then we already know what the signature is, and we could check spelling. All right, so that's saying it doesn't recognize this word here. Well, that's fine. Auto for the language there doesn't recognize it. I'm going to ignore it because that's my name and recheck it. Okay, nothing came up, so it's done. And from here, I could print it, put a label on it, and it's already going to go into my out box, my sent box right here. Now I think we're ready to send. If I wanted to, I could even close this, and it won't matter if I haven't finished it, because if I go into drafts right here, it's right there, and I can send it, and now I sent it. It says confirm phone numbers. A phone number is required so recipients can verify their identity using SMS code. So then I can give them their phone numbers where they have to have a code before they can access this. So I'm going to turn that off right now, the confidentiality mode, so we can send this email. Now it's been sent. I'm going to delete these other 2 drafts because I don't need them. Click the delete button there. Oh, just push the delete button right there. Go back to inbox. And that's it. That's all it took to send an email. And now we'll talk about how to create a Google Calendar event and send an email. So Google Calendar is really nice to have when you need to set up a meeting with someone and video conference them. By having this tab already here, we just click it and it loads our calendar. Great thing about Google Calendar is anyone else who uses Gmail can easily look up your information if you've set it to public to see if you're busy during a specific time they want to schedule you for a meeting. And if you don't have a Gmail account, on both ends, then that probably won't work great. But you can still go about it in different ways. Now I'm having some issues loading this calendar, so it might be the fact that it's a new account we created. So another way I can go is type in calendar.google.com, and it should pull it up this way. All right. And we can also download the Google Calendar on our mobile devices through Google Play for Android and iOS for Apple. So from here, it defaults with my personal calendar, which I could toggle on or off. Birthdays. Remember, we gave Google our birthday. If we put anyone's birthday in there, we can do that. We can go into settings and type or give it a new name and copy a birthday year old. This might be beneficial if you're having birthdays in the office and you would like to have an own calendar for people to look at those birthdays. Reminders for you could toggle on those or on and off. And tasks, like we had mentioned earlier, you could send a task to send this email out. And we could add other people's calendars too. Add other calendars. Subscribe to a calendar from Mural or import, browse calendars of interest. So from here, it can start going through and you could see if there's any sports calendars there are, any religious holidays. You can look for other calendars. And if you've created a Google Workspace in a business sector, you can have calendars from your friends or colleagues that they've posted imported simply by knowing the association with your business name, such as maybe it's at apexdental.com. They created their Gmail workspace, so it knows how to search for all the colleagues in that Google Workspace that have created calendars through that domain. Something pretty complex, but we could go after this tutorial. You could reach out to me if you want to learn how to set that up. So I'm going to go back here and we're going to create an event today. So today's Monday and at 4:00, I want to create an event. So I just click 4, and if it's not where I want it to be, I can go right back here and change it. And we're going to say, let's meet for lunch. Who eats lunch at 4:00? Well, maybe we're a little bit behind here. So create an event. This is going to be an event. If it's a task, it would just be a task that needs to be check marked done or not. Reminder is just going to be a reminder that's going to be popped up as a reminder on my calendar, not as an event. In other words, it's something that's highlighted that will be seen throughout the whole day. And an appointment schedule. Simplified Google Workspace individually can now have your own professional booking page so you can see, others can see when you're available. And so learn more about that clicking there. And for the sake of simplicity, we'll just do let's meet for lunch with a colleague. All right. So we want that to be today at 4. And let's say I'm going to be a little bit late. Let's change it to 4:15. And it's not going to be all day. Now, having people different time zones can be tricky. So you want to make sure you designate it to the time zone that's going to be appropriate to you. So if you had someone that's in Chicago and you're meeting up with them via video conference, you might refer to using theirs if it makes it easier for you to remember that in their time frame or yours. But Google takes the end confusion out of which time frame. So if you select Los Angeles time and they have defaulted to Central time, they'll receive this notification in Central time. You don't have to do anything to change that. So click OK. And find a time is nice if you need to go onto your calendar and then also search someone else's calendar to see if they're busy. So you can go in and select which guests and you look at their calendar if you add a guest. Well, we haven't added a guest yet, but let's go ahead and add one. So I can go into this person, and this is going to be my guest. Your event now includes Google Meet because we're going to create an event here that's going to have the ability to them to video conference me. I click got it. And it says here up to 100 people is added automatically. Update your conference and settings. You get high quality. So I selected high quality previously in my video selections. I can do that. Now I'm looking at Brian's calendar. See, my logo is right up here. And then Brian's calendar is right here. Well, he's busy from 4:30 to 5:30. And it doesn't tell me why, because he probably hid what he does at that time for privacy regulations. So in other words, it won't say what you're busy doing if someone looks at your calendar. It just says busy. It won't say I'm going to the dentist or something like that. And so Inviting others, join with Google Meet. We have our Meet here. And if you clicking that, it takes you right to the event. So when you're ready to meet with them, or you can do it at a location, like a address, So if you do Fort Hays, you do Hays, provide an address right in here, Kansas, and you could of course get into the street maps and preview and where that's at in the maps there. Then provide, we're having lunch at the cafeteria. The cafe. All right. And I can attach a nice little flyer there. And then I can set my color so that way I understand the event will be in red and I'll be busy during that time, not free, so no one can't schedule me in that time for another event simultaneously. And do I want this event to be public or private? I can do public so everyone else can see that this event is a public event, meaning anyone else tries to search my calendar, they'll be able to see this is a public event. And I want to be notified 30 minutes before, and I can add another notification up to 10 minutes before, and then I can go more options. And here I can see all the information, easier to navigate through. And so from here, you can also use suggested times, and it'll do suggested times based on these two calendars of both persons. So here, I'll just go ahead and close this, click save. Would you like to send notification emails to Google Calendar guests? I could send them, I could don't send, but how would they know? So I'll send, and there we go. That's my calendar. Now, whenever I get my notification on my phone, or I go back into calendar at Google, or I just go into my Gmail, and when I go into my Gmail, I can go right on here and click calendar, and we'll see if this loads now. It loaded, and I click here, join with Google Meet, and then my camera is asking for permission, and I can join. So we've talked about how to set up your Gmail account. And in setting up your Gmail account, we migrated our contacts over. And we also said if you ever need help, you're ever lost, you can always hover over the item where it asks you to learn more. Or if you go up to here, you always see a help. Somewhere up here, look for the word help, and you can start searching. And then such as we can get anything for any of the apps, a reference sheet or tip, you just start typing in what you're trying to learn. And we said about email best practices, essentially how to insert our signature and how to make it bold, how to make it back to normal formatting, how to add attachments, how to also create a calendar event that you can send to them. And so that was in Google Calendar. So what we did was we're able to understand how to create a Google Meet event, add a description, add a time, make notifications, as well as adding the Google video conferencing software and setting the time frame that's relevant. And then some of the learning resources, we said you could go in and you could see that by going into the calendar here, I click this and I got my help. I got my calendar here. Let's meet for lunch. I can go in and copy this information to send to someone else. I could join. I got a notification 10 minutes before. It's a public going. I can click yes, I'm going. So now they know I'm going. And also I can go in here and meet with other people too. And then I can select which calendars I want to view. All right. So this is in General Mountain Time. Now I'm in Pacific Standard Time, but my organization's in General Mountain Time. So that's what I'm following. Essentially, we've covered everything we needed to learn here. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. But now it's going to be your turn to practice. So I would like us to recall, how can we create an email, add a friend to it, and then create a calendar event, inviting them to meeting with you via video conferencing at your next availability. So you could combine these two tasks into one by going into Gmail or going into Google Calendar. So I'm going to challenge you. Would you rather use Google Calendar to do all of this or use it in Gmail? And then we'll talk about how you can do it after you spent the next 30 minutes attempting to do that. So get started, and then once you're done, we'll go ahead and communicate and go over how we resolve this. So we said we can use one platform to do it all, or one app, I should say, to do it all. In this instance, we create an event using Google Calendar. We could put meet for breakfast. It's an event. It's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be at, we'll say, 8 a.m. It'll go from 8 to 9. Now maybe we'll eat short because we got a lot of work to do. It does not repeat. It won't be all day. We could find a time. Well, now we need to add someone. So we're going to find another person to add with. All right, so we're going to do photography. Photography expert 95667 at gmail.com. And there I am right there. And then suggested times. All participants can attend tomorrow at 8 a.m. That's perfect. All right. And then we can do a virtual by joining with Google Meet's already there, or we can add a location. We add our description here and put, see that we get a vegetarian menu if I arrive late. All right. Meeting notes. We can bring our tablets or our smartphones and take notes there, and that will be available for both of us to view and make changes to. Or we can add an attachment through our Google Drive or upload from our computer. We'll be dealing with that on another day, day 3. And then we can say, okay, I'm going to be red, so make this a red label for me and click more options here, and I can see it expanded. And then I think I got everything I need here. So I'll click save. Would you like to send the invitations to Google Calendar guests? Yes, please send it. All right. Guests from outside your organization, they're outside my FHSU. So are you sure you would like to invite them? Yeah, I want to invite them. All right. Create meeting notes. This will create meeting notes for us to share. Yes, let's create the notes and share it. All right. So now it's done. It's in red as we chose, right? Now, another way we could have done that is just gone into here. We could go compose. We could say, let's go to photography guy. All right. Meet for dinner. Can you meet me for dinner? And then over here, I can do, well, we get stopped here. So if you noticed, it's just much more simpler to just use Google Meet or Google Calendar to create your meeting. So in other words, this would have been the old way we would do it. Do it through email, and then you go, here's my event. And I'd have to go in, back to my calendar, click this, and then click copy for my Google Meet event. And then I go back into my mail. I find that mail I was composing, and I put, here's my event, and then I send it to them. Now, this would be as if they don't have Google Calendar and you can't add them. And then you would just cut and paste this event, and that would be one way of going about it. It's not best, but it's another necessary way for people who don't have Google Workspace. So this means if I send it to this person, I could send it off now. They go into their email. Let's go ahead and show you what that looks like. They checked their email. I go, hey, wait a second. I got 2 invitations here. One is to meet with this person. And I got this little notes here. I can, oh yeah, I'll meet with them here. And then they got this little notes file, and I could start typing all the notes for a meeting. I understand that they can see my notes, and I can see theirs. Okay, I'll go to that one. Now, what about this meet for dinner here? Okay, well, okay, I can just click on here and meet with them on December 6th at 8, because maybe this is the instance they don't have Google. So you have to send them this information. And then, of course, it prompts them to be able to allow them to access this. So you're seeing me here. If you see, I have a green screen here, and I can ask to join, and then I'm in the call. And so that's it. So thanks again. We've talked about today how we can create that Gmail account and go over our calendar to create an event. We just spent the time making that event. And what we're doing is just going to have a review of what the event we created is. Down here, we have the meet for lunch. And then we can also see in our email that that event was sent out. So tomorrow, what we're going to be focusing on is we said you can share documents, and it could be whether it's from another, like a Word document, something that doesn't have to do with a Google document or Google Workspace application file. And so tomorrow we'll be talking about how to migrate files over, understanding what different file types are, the version history where we could track the changes to those documents that we make on the Google Workspace, and then the different drives that you could share. So you could share different files or different folders with folks in your organization, including outside your organization. But of course, this all requires them to have a Gmail account. And then we could talk about how do you work with PDFs in Microsoft Files, in the Google Drive, and then some of the best practices and resources available. Once we finish it up there, we'll be looking at Google Meet. We've already talked a little bit about it, and that's where you're going to be doing your video conference when you eat for lunch this afternoon or for breakfast tomorrow morning. And then we'll wrap it up with Google Chat. How do we share and chat with our friends on Google? And then that'll be the day 2 of 3. And the last day will be, of course, talking about how to wrap this all up and using this in all the specific courses you need. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again.